And then they're going to try to put guys like me in jail. This keeps happening, and at my age, I don't know what's going on anymore. It doesn't make sense. For example, why did Biden cut off the Keystone XL pipeline? Why did they open up the border and fent and all pours across? I believe that the biggest issue facing America right now is this, our pension crisis. Do you know that our pensions are empty? I've been writing about this for a while, so the reason I don't save money is: there are three types of people in the world when it comes to money: investors, traders, and speculators. This is true financial education, but it is not taught in schools. This is because in 1971 the dollar became denominated and subject to taxation. A speculator is a gambler, and I would argue that the majority of individuals who are chasing Dogecoins and all this are traders. I am an investor, but I was not a trader. A trader is someone who will buy something and sell it, much like a flipper in real estate. Other things in Bitcoin, and they're all speculators and gamblers hoping it will rise. I'm an investor, you see. And the reason the guys are losing money now is because you're not a trader, you're speculating. The first reason is that in 1944, at Bretton Woods, New Hampshire, the U.S. government made a promise that we would back the U.S. dollar with gold, but as you know, the U.S. lies a lot, so everyone in the world says, we will accept the dollar because it is as good as gold because, after 1971, the Federal Reserve Bank, which is not a bank and is not federal, had no money in it, so the U.S. Treasury could print money. The savers were losers, and teachers were still telling people to save money. The Fed wants to remove this, as does the European Central Bank, ECB, the Bank of Japan, and the Bank of China. As you can see, the only way the money can go into the U.S. Treasury is through the U.S. Treasury. Right now, the market is a Fed Prince fund that is given to commercial banks like U.S. Bank, Bank of America, and Wells Fargo, who then lend the money out. However, if FedCoin is released, these banks will no longer be needed, and the only way for someone to obtain money is through a student loan, real estate loan, or credit card. At that point, they will turn to Marxism or communism. Universal Basic Income, or UBI, is what they're doing with stimulus checks. They're handing you money directly because they no longer need these people. They will have complete control over your thoughts, breathing, injections, finances, how you earn money, where you spend it, and where you can travel. This period of time between 1960 and 1980 is known as totalitarianism. When I was a child, everyone claimed that anyone who invested in the stock market was a gambler. Now that everyone is active in the stock market, how did that happen? Well, in 1974, they brought this thing called a 401k out. I won't touch that thing. I wouldn't touch an IRA or 401k because I'm an entrepreneur and I create my own assets more than that. My generation wasn't investing in it, so they had to do it because they didn't like stocks between 1960 and 1980. Then, in 1987, the stock market crashed, so Greenpan, a Federal Reserve guy, came out. Do you remember the Federal Reserve? Reserve is not an American. Since it's not a government organization, he came out and said, "Don't fight the Fed." The Green Splash Put, also known as the PPT, stands for the Plunge Protection Team. In essence, Greenspan's strategy was to have the protection team defend you whenever the stock market plummeted. So, my generation, the boomers, is doing well, and I don't have to worry because the Federal Reserve Bank and the Treasury would always come to my aid. As a result, we have ours today. Businesses are zombies. I don't like stocks, but I like gold. Silver is getting more valuable because all the central banks in the world now own gold, so they won't let the price of gold crash. Also, 20% of U.S. corporations are zombie corporations, which means they're broke but are being propped up by the Federal Reserve Bank and the government. That's communism. That's why stocks get protected. Gold never goes away, it just keeps accumulating. The government will ensure that stocks don't crash, but cryptocurrency won't because the Fed doesn't want it to. Therefore, guys, you need to be smarter because what might have happened yet is a Fed coin or a yuan coin, which is a Chinese coin, and that will destroy Bitcoin. In other words, everything is completely manipulated. In 1980, the Texas-based Hunt brothers attempted to corner the gold market by manipulating. Silver hit $50 an ounce in 1980. It's interesting what's happening, but as you guys know, everything is manipulated in the long run, so you need to be smarter. If there is a Fed coin, Wells Fargo is gone. I'm not saying this will happen, but this is what I think might happen. I have excellent credit, so I receive my money that way. Don't say I'm saying it's going out, but at the same time, if a Fed coin comes in, I'm completely destroyed. Stated that Ken Malroy and I borrowed $160 million just last week, and that men like us capitalists must borrow money in order for it to enter the system. While I receive a student loan, school teachers are not even eligible for a credit card. They won't teach you that in school, which is why there is no financial education. My poor dad was a Marxist, and he taught people that. What a swindle it is, but a guy like me will go out there and use debt. I use debt to acquire assets and I pay no taxes. Crooks are the capital, and they are now present everywhere you look, including among corrupt administrators. Because Obama likes those guys, it's not about the money, but rather the person, and our educational system is purposefully set up to avoid teaching you about money. It takes a noun and a verb to determine if something is an asset or a liability. For example, if money is flowing out of your pocket, it's a liability. If it's going into your pocket, it's an asset. I own 7,000 rental homes. While many people own a large home on a hill, the money is flowing out and they are going bankrupt. Those assets generate monthly cash flows. The second thing that the poor don't realize is that taxes are the biggest expense for the majority of people. This is why the wealthy don't labor for money. You see, there are 3 different types of revenue made in a portfolio. For example, if I have a profession that pays well, like becoming a doctor or a programmer, that's earned revenue because I'm putting effort into it. If I spend $10 on an Apple product and send it for $20, that's capital gains from portfolio income. Yes, but these men are yelling that Americans who are taxed are wealthy because their cash flow, or passive income, is never taxed. Since the majority of the men complaining don't understand this type of money and the wealthy don't have work despite having assets, I